So, the Game Developer Conference, a real-life simulation for game nerds. There are over 30,000 attendees each year. Everyone with a goal either to find a job, find a community, get an internship, or get free food. I'm a student that got the chance to go to GDC through my school's funding. So first things first, at GDC, please do not be socially avoidant. I promise you that 99% of people want to talk to you. After all, GDC is more of a networking event rather than sitting at lectures all day. Of course, still go to these panels, lectures presented by guest speakers from studios or companies, since you get the chance to learn new technologies, new strategies, and their takeaways on the projects that they worked on. However, I have been constantly told to prioritize to go to the after parties, the networking events, do lots of roundtables. If you don't know what roundtables are, these are not, lectures or panels. It's basically people sitting around a circle, and you can either start the conversation with a question. There will be a facilitator organizing everything, and they can either ask a question or one of us can ask a question and just have a big discussion about one topic. So these type of events are more important for your self-growth and networking rather than sitting at a lecture for 1 to 2 hours taking notes, even though most lectures are already recorded. Although it is important to note that some lectures are not recorded, so it is important for you to plan accordingly if you really want to get into a specific lecture. I recommend starting with at least one networking event on your first day of GDC in order to get your brain muscle more used to talking to people, because I know it can get really overwhelming right on the first day. And gradually go to more of these networking events each day as you go through GDC. But please do not avoid these networking events and parties. You will not regret going to them. Please push yourself. I highly recommend you to arrive the day before GDC so you have an extra time to decompress and also to get your badges. For GDC, you're going to have to get a badge before you enter any buildings because there are securities and they will not let you in if you do not have your badge. Now, on the first day of GDC, there will be a big line for those badges. And you don't want to waste your time on your precious first day just to get a badge. So get your badge earlier, the day before GDC. Anyways, the second takeaway is to get the GDC app earlier, like weeks before GDC starts. That's where you'll see all the lectures, panels, roundtables, blah, 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 everything. Please plan accordingly what panels you want to go to, because it'll save a lot of your time. A lot of these panels are scheduled at the same time, unfortunately, so you have to either pick and choose which panels you want to go to, or you can choose to go to both, but split your time in half. What's also helpful is for you to choose a certain topic that you want to keep on learning throughout GDC and filter out how many panels and lectures go over that certain topic. For example, I'm specializing in technical art, so I made sure to go to all the lectures, all the roundtables that go over technical art. Why I'm saying this right now to you is because, of course, it is important to go to these panels and lectures on the topics that you're interested in about and want to perhaps specialize in, but you're gonna also meet the same people that are also interested in it. Either they're also students or industry professionals. And you're going to see the same people throughout the week. And most likely, you're going to connect with them even more because you're keeping on seeing them every single day. That's what happened to me. I met a couple students and even industry professionals almost every day because we went to the same panels, the same roundtables. And this goes to my third takeaway, quality over quantity. At GDC, you will talk to a lot of people. I hope you want to, right? But please don't prioritize getting hundreds of business cards and you're just, you're rich with all the connections that you just got. But most likely, you're going to only remember 5% of it, or even 1%. What you actually want is to grow genuine connections at GDC. The people that you won't forget right after you stop talking to them. I remember there were a couple of times where I would get introduced to someone and they would just shove their LinkedIn QR codes and then start talking to the other person. Or they would just say, "Hi, this is my business card, bye." And I personally did not even bother to do anything with the QR codes or the business cards. If they did not put the effort to get to know me, why should I? I could clearly tell they just wanted the extra connection on LinkedIn, and that's all. It definitely felt very shallow at times interacting with certain people, where I could just tell they just wanted an extra connection on LinkedIn or get their business cards more spread out, which I don't blame them, but again, you're wasting your time. You're not growing an actual human bond with someone. So that other human will just forget about you because you're just a number. You're just a QR code that was shoved in their face. That's it. So if you want to grow genuine bonds at GDC, please know your networking etiquette. Find a personal connection with someone, get to know why they're here, what they want from GDC, what they want from life in general, what they specialize in, what's their passion and ambition, and then wrap up with a business card, QR code, and follow them up right after GDC or the next day so they don't forget about you. Be genuine. Don't fake your genuineness. Just be normal. One thing that I kept on hearing for this year's GDC is that there weren't as many people as before. Now, since this is my first time going to GDC, it felt like the whole world was there. But I do see why people would think this way. It might be due to the nature of GDC, or people don't find any purpose going to GDC anymore. There were a couple of industry professionals that said there are more students at GDC than actual industry professionals. For example, if you're also interested in technical art, guys, there were a lot of them. There were a lot of us there. There were probably a few lectures related to technical art, and then there were maybe 3 to 4 round tables for technical art. Most of them were full. There was one panel I almost did not get in. I was standing in a humongous line for 10 minutes. They already closed the doors because there were already a lot of people in the room, and I was like, oh man, okay, another panel I didn't get to. And then one person just got out of the room and then they let me in. But I was just standing by the wall and typing my notes. I was talking to a few of the GDC crew members, and they said that GDC was definitely not prepared with the high volume of technical art students that came into GDC. And not just students, a lot of juniors were there, and of course industry professionals. But again, GDC was definitely not prepared. There were humongous lines for tech art related things. So that kind of shows to me that technical art is a growing field, well, a growing niche in the entertainment, film, or game industry. And I think it's a good sign because we can see that this smaller niche before is growing. And possibly there will be even more niches developing within tech art. Of course, I need to mention the elephant in the room, the topic of AI. AI was definitely a frequent topic throughout GDC. There were many AI-related startups, companies promoting their AI-related products, and a lot of companies talking about AI, and a lot of these type of panels were sponsored by those companies. So those companies like Meta or Nvidia paid GDC to talk about their products. I think last year the main focus was just to complain about AI. This year, of course, there were a lot of conversations with people being still concerned and worried about their jobs and just how AI is growing in the industry. But I think the main difference this year was that companies were actually explaining how they're using AI and how they're not replacing developers or artists, and how they're actually using AI as a tool. So they were just being more specific this year. Of course, as a student, it did not feel so good to hear about these conversations regarding AI and layoffs. There were layoffs happening during GDC. But surprisingly, I left GDC with a lot of hope and much more motivation. I remember attending several after parties throughout GDC, and I would talk to the most passionate, motivated, amazing either students, juniors in the industry. They had so much to talk about, and it was inspiring to see their passion in their eyes and what they're working on and how they're not letting AI get to them. And there were a lot of people not necessarily in the gaming industry. What stood out the most was one person that I got to talk to that was in the VR educational space, and he was the producer for that company. So you kind of get a wide pool of ideas and inspiration coming from different types of people, coming from different industries, not necessarily just in gaming. So when you're surrounded by these passionate people, you're not so scared about AI anymore, because you see that there are ways to build a sustainable future for yourself. You start to think more creatively and more outside of the box. It was also especially empowering to attend the United Video Gaming Workforce panel. It is the first industry-wide union for workers in the gaming industry for North America. They were implementing their first draft of their Bill of Rights for game workers. We got the chance to read their first Bill of Rights draft for game workers. We got the chance to learn more about what they do and how you can support them. And we also got the chance to use our voices to decide which topics from the first draft we need in the final draft. There were a lot of emphasis from the first draft on contract protection, AI-related layoffs, compensation transparency, work-life balance protection, and much, much more. So I'm very glad I got to know this organization because I had no idea about them. So I'm going to be linking their resources down below. Another huge takeaway was to not be afraid to be bold. Know what you want. For instance, one of my main goals was to talk to a guest speaker or, an industry professional for my school project, because I have to do a little presentation of what I got out of GDC to my school, and I really wanted this type of experience. So the very first technical artist that I discovered 1 or 2 years ago was Camille K. She's a technical artist and a developer relations at Epic Games. And she was a principal artist at a studio that she co-founded a couple of years ago. So it meant a lot to me if I had the chance to talk to her. She was attending this year at GDC, and she was also one of the guest speakers at a lecture. So I sent her a concise and clear message on who I am, what I'm studying, what I want to specialize in, how I discovered her and why I want to talk to her. And she agreed. Surprisingly, the main reason why she agreed to talk to me, because how clear my message was. I wasn't really wasting her time wondering who is she, what she wants, blah, blah, blah. I already answered all those questions in one big text. We ended up having the most fantastic conversation at the Yerba Buena Park. And I'm very happy I got the guts to text her away through the GDC app. So please do not hold yourself back. Text whoever you want to talk to during GDC. Do not be afraid. Again, people want to help out each other during GDC. You will lose more if you do not take the chance to message someone that means a lot to you. I hope you got something out from this video. If you go to GDC, please make sure to explore San Francisco. San Francisco is such a beautiful city. I would highly recommend going to Japantown, the Pier Bay area. There's of course the Golden Gate Bridge. Please go there, it's beautiful. And of course the sunshine weather is amazing. I'm personally from Seattle, so that week was definitely very refreshing. I'm not sure if I'm going to post any more videos here on YouTube, but if you have any questions regarding the Game Developer Conference, ask away in the comments. I would love to answer them. All right, peace.